And he made headlines yesterday. He was arrested and taken in for questioning. Wahome, thank you very much for joining us. It's actually a great day for you to be here with us today. Maybe you can tell us, why were you arrested yesterday?
Very briefly, Betty, thank you so much for hosting me here. I happen to be a fairly active person in social media, besides my other work at the Standard Group. And so a couple of days back, without necessarily going to what the claim was all about, I did a post on something touching on the ongoing fight about alcoholism. It touched on the MP for Mukurweini, Kabando. And I don't want to go into the details of what I said about, because that's now the subject of this matter that took me to police yesterday. But the MP himself made a complaint at the police station and said that I had defamed him. So that's how I got to police. I mean, somehow I was arrested. At some point I was not arrested, then at another point I was arrested. But just to cut this story short, the complaint he made was about defamation. But I ended up facing a charge of misuse of a telecommunication gadget, which is a different charge altogether from defamation.
All right. So when you're taking in for questioning, what exactly were they asking you about? And in terms of journalistic standards, do you think that what you wrote about him was defamatory? As
I'm saying, the charge is not mainly about defamation, because that would be different. They were questioning me as to whether I actually wrote what I wrote. And I wouldn't want to go into details about that, unless I make an admission on my own. I mean, I incriminate myself on this.
Yes.
But that's what they are looking at, the use of a telecommunication gadget. Because the law says that should you use a telecommunication gadget to post a message that is false, knowing that it is false, then you are liable. I mean, to a criminal charge. So that is what the matter is. Now, regarding defamation, it's not really the issue that is at hand here.
That's not the issue. Yes. Okay, and at what point did they let you go? Is there anything that is, you're waiting for? Is there a court case, to...
Yeah, you see, once you are summoned to a police station, there are processes that you are taken through. I was asked to record a statement. It is my constitutional right not to record a statement if I so wish. Then I was bonded. The constitution nowadays is very clear. Whatever offense you have, you can be given a cash bail at a police station. You can be given a cash bail in a court of law. So I was bonded. I was released on free bond. I'm supposed to report back at the end of this month. So the whole of that process, journalistically, if I was to say that the way I was treated as a journalist, or even as any other Kenyan, it was very fair. And because all that now has been properly captured in the constitution.
Yesterday when it happened, there was a lot of uproar, especially on social media. People, I'm sure you saw, actually trending at some point. But for you, do you feel like there was any harassment, so to speak, in that whole process of being arrested and taken in for questioning?
No, the way I was arrested, first of all, was very fair. The police these days, I think they are good enough. And the way the process I was taken through, I was taken to a police station that's just close to Parliament. So the way they deal with those members there is a bit. I wouldn't think they deal with the same way with others in other areas.
Yes, exactly.
So it was fair. It was a fair process to me. And secondly, because I understand the law quite well, I know when they would not be fair to me. I know when they would be mistreating me. I know how to stop it. I know when to complain.
Exactly.
It was very fair, and I would say that to all journalists, if it was to apply that way, because initially, many years back, I mean, the treatment of journalists in the country was just outrageous. Brutal. You wouldn't expect a government to treat people the way it used to treat journalists those days. But now we have very good laws. The only thing I can look at is to say, now the reasons for which I've been arrested are they provided for in the law? And if I have a charge that I'll be facing at some point in time, how will I be able to defend myself? And will I be fair? I mean, will I carry on properly?
Okay.
Because you see, under the law, if you are arrested, you have 24 hours within which to be held by police. Me, for my case, they held me for less than 3-4 hours.
You are lucky.
So, yeah, so I was out. And the police were clear to me that we can hold you here for 24 hours.
24 hours.
And I told them, yeah, it's your right.
All right.
And then after that, I'll now claim my right.
You'll claim your right.
Sure.
And you have been in this industry for 16 years. That's pretty much a long time.
Very long time.
So that means you've been able to see the journey that journalists have gone through in terms of media freedom.
Sure.
In your words, being a seasoned journalist, how can you describe that journey in terms of the government's commitment to press freedom? Is it improving? Considering we've also seen instances where, unlike your incident, where journalists have been brutally beaten up by officers.
Yeah, let me say, when I started practicing, I was still in college. I started writing news articles and all that kind of work when I was still in school. Even when I was in high school, I used to. In fact, my first small article to be published in the nation newspapers was way back in 1988 or thereabouts.
Wow.
I started working well in around 1997, 98 there. And you can imagine that was the time at which the kind of freedoms that we have now were not there, were not existing.
Exactly.
A lot of journalists were killed. Quite a number of them were maimed. Others just disappeared. Nobody knows where they went. But the clamor for a new constitution is what was pushing all that, because they were joining other people in demanding good laws, a new constitution that would cater for all these things. Now the constitution that we have now, under Article 34, provides for freedom and independence of the press, of the media. And other than a government wanting to, or any other authority wanting to violate, the freedoms are very clearly set out there, establishing media houses, the freedom to publish what you want, subject, of course, to other freedoms.
Do you think that the government is clamping on this, clauses in the Constitution?
Yeah. For example, very recent, the government tried to introduce, we had even a bill that went to become a law that was very, hard on the media.
Exactly.
Okay, and publishing and posting, and especially now in the era of social media, that was not there quite a number of years back.
Yes.
And you see the courts, we can say the government may have tried to do that. On the other hand, we have fairly good courts that will reverse that.
Okay.
Now, how the two or the three institutions that constitute the government work together is now subject for debate and all other checks.
Okay.
Because each of them checks the other. That's why when a government acts in a way that's unconstitutional, the courts are there to counter that.
All right.
Long time ago, historically, the courts were just extensions of the executive. A journalist will be arrested for absolutely nothing, and you get jailed in the evening, and you are left, you are just on your own,
Okay.
That's it.
All right, so as we wind up, in a nutshell, how would you describe the media now, comparing it to the media back in the day when you were a budding journalist? Yeah. In a nutshell.
Yeah, very briefly.
Yeah.
So we have come a long way. Now, as I'm saying, because of the Constitution, you see, a media has to operate under the law. The laws that we have are good, well protective of the journalists, and they regulate the way journalists work. And then there's a lot of freedom now, and especially prompted by the social media, because today the social media is quite active.
Yes.
Okay, people are able to do things fast enough, even before the government counters anything. It's already out there. People are discussing it. Before you say police have not killed somebody,
there's pictures.
Yeah, it's always showing you pictures. So we have advanced in such a way, and I'm sure years to come
will be a bit better.
Yes.
Okay.